This is a sample application created using Gridlayout. It has 2 columns and 3 rows. All these are defined using Gridlayout. I've also added OnclickListener. For example, if I click on this broccoli, a new activity opens, displays that image of broccoli and its name. I can do the same to onion, and then the image and the name is going to be displayed. So I'll leave the others so that once you master how to do these ones, you can be able to do this one by yourself. All this is done using Gridlayout, and it's what we are going to look into. Let us begin by creating a new project. To create a new project in Android Studio, go to Files, and then New Project. Select an empty activity, click Next. Give your project a name. For example, I can say Gridlayout. This will be the name of our project. This will be the package name. This is the save location, the language you are using, and the minimum SDK. Then click Finish. So Android Studio is going to load some few libraries, as you can see here. So give it some few minutes or seconds to finish loading. As you can see, it's displaying in the status bar that are importing some libraries, that is Marvels. So it's almost done. So once the Gradle of the Android Studio is done building your project, you'll be able to see your project files here. This is the code editor area. This is the navigation bar. And so to begin, I'm going to start by editing the default properties that are set in Android project. So the first thing that we need to edit is the colors, so that we can be able to use our colors that matches this application. So to change the purple to 100, I'm going to have hash 008577. The same color I'm going to have for purple 500, and then purple 700 I'm going to have 005746. And then I'm going to have for black, it's going to remain like that, and white, it's going to remain like that. So we can begin by learning our project and see how it looks like before we add anything. So click this Learn button. Remember, we are going to implement exactly an application or a sample app like this one. So looking at the status bar, Gradle build is learning. It's now indexing, installing, and then it's launching. So as you can see, our application has only Hello World, which is by default set, nothing else. Now, after changing the colors successfully, the next thing that we want to do is to copy our images and paste them in our drawable folder. So to do so, I'm going to copy my images. I'll leave these images on the descriptions, or somewhere you can be able to download them. And then I'm going to paste them inside the drawable folder. So as you can see, my images are pasted here. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is to edit my activity main and be able to add our grid layout. So to do so, I'm going to delete this text view. The parent is a constraint layout, and I'm going to give it a background color of hash F3, F3, F3. Inside it, we are going to have our grid layout. For the width, I'm going to give it 0. For the height, I'm going to give it 0 dp. Remember, the reason I'm giving it 0 is because my parent layout is constrained, and I want to constrain my grid layout. So to do that, I'm going to position it at start of parent. I'm going to position it at end of parent. At the top, it's going to begin at the top of parent, and bottom, it's going to be bottom of parent. So our grid layout is this one. Then I'm going to give it a margin of 10. And remember, our grid layout sample has two columns and 3 rows. So I'm going to define the number of columns that I need. Column count 2 and row count, I'm going to have 3. Inside our grid layout, we are going to have CardView. Remember, the reason why we're adding CardView is that we can have this curvy one. So I'm going to have corner for this one. I'm going to give it height to match parent. I'm going to give it width to match parent. And then I'm going to give it corner radius, and I'm going to give it 15. Let's give it the number of rows to occupy. Row width, I'm going to give it 1. And number of columns to occupy, I'm going to give it 1. I'm going to give it also margin. And the margin that I'm going to give it is 5. So because we have given it the row width and column width, we can replace this one with 0 and this one with 0. I'm going to copy this one. Let's close it well. I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. So as you can see, right now we have 2 items. I'm going to add another element called elevation, and I'm going to give it 0. Let's give this one also elevation. And then I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. I'm also going to paste this one. So right now we have 2 columns and 2 rows, but we require 3 rows. So I'm going to copy and paste and copy and paste. So we have created a skeleton of what we need, that is 2 columns and 3 rows. So the next item that we are going to add is the image. To add image and position it at center, what we are going to do is to define a relative layout here. Width, I'm going to have to match parent. For the height, I'm going to match parent, and then I'm going to close it. I'm going to define an image view. Remember, an image view is where we put our image. I'm going to give it a width of 150. For the height, I'm going to give it 150. And then the source for the first one is, remember, it's image source. So I'm going to have the source to be drawable, and the first one is blockori. I'm going to position this to the center, so I'm going to have center in parent to be true. So as you can see, it's centered. I'm going to copy this one. Since we need the same thing on the second one, we only need to change this one to onions. And then we can copy and paste this one and change this one to cucumber. Remember, we are referencing our drawable here. And then we can copy this one, paste it inside this CardView, and we have tomatoes. I'm going to copy this one too and paste it here. we can have potatoes. Then we copy this one and paste it here. And this one we are going to have is cabbages. So let us now learn this application and see what we have built so far. So this is our sample app, so we can close it. The application is installing, it's now launching. There we are, we have the broccoli, we have the onion, and the other fruits. So the next thing that we want to do is create two activities, one for displaying the broccoli and the other one for displaying onion. So let's proceed. Let us now add our two activities. That is, one to display when broccoli is clicked, and the other one to display when onion is clicked. So to do so, I'm going to go to my package name and then right click. And I'm going to have activity, an empty activity. And then I'm going to have broccoli. And I'm going to say finish. So as you can see, it's added here and its layout file is added here. I'm also going to create a new one, new activity. This is an empty one. And then I'm going to call it onion. And I'm going to finish. So we have broccoli and onion activity. And in our layout, we have activity broccoli and activity onion. The next thing is to implement OnclickListener for this one and this one. Remember, the rest you guys have to implement this one. It will be your task to do the implementation. So to do that, what I'm going to do is find these views. So I'm going to have public fun OnclickListener. And then I'm also going to have public fun open broccoli activity. Then here we are going to have public fun open onion activity. To open broccoli, what I'm going to do is to start activity, intent, and I'm moving from this one at main activity, and I'm going to broccoli activity class.java. And then the same for onion. I can copy that one and paste it here and change my destination to onion. Here for the OnclickListener, I'll go back to my activity main and give these ones IDs. So what I'm going to do is when you click this image, I'm going to give it an ID, and then I'm going to give an image view broccoli. This one I'm going to give it an ID, and I'm going to say image view onion. So I'm going to find them within my activity. So I'll have the first one, that is broccoli. So I can have val image broccoli, which will be find view by ID. This is an image view, and it's going to have all.id.iv broccoli. And then I'm going to have val image onion, which will be find view by ID, which is an image view, all.id.iv onion. And then I'm going to set image broccoli dot set on OnclickListener. And then I'm going to have open broccoli activity, and then I'm going to have image onion dot set OnclickListener, and then I'm going to have open onion activity. This one I'm going to call it inside my onCreate. Let us now learn our application and see what we've been able to achieve. So there we go. If we click on this, it opens a new activity, nothing gets displayed. If we click on this one, same. But these others, nothing happens. So what we need to do now is to go to our activity broccoli and define an image view. So you'll have an image view that is going to display the image. I'm going to give it 100 depth as the width, and the height I'm going to give it 100, and then I'm going to position it, that is start of parent, then I'm going to give it end of parent. Top, I want it to be at the center, so I can give it top of parent, and then bottom of parent. I'm going to give it an ID of image view. Then below it I'll have a text view, lap content. I'm going to give it top margin of 15, and then I'm going to give it to be top bottom of our image view, and then I'm going to center it horizontally, that is start of parent and end of parent. The ID I'm going to give it TV name. So I'm going to do the same to our onion activity. Copy these two. So I'm going to copy them, and then I'm going to paste inside my activity onion. So we have the image view and we have the TV name, that is the text view. So what you are going to do is, when we are starting this activity, we want to add some data. To pass data from one activity to other, you put extra, and then I'm going to give it the name, and the name itself I'm going to have is this is the name, that is broccoli, and then I'm going also to pass the image name, and I'm going to have its image name is broccoli. The same, I'm going to do the same here. When I'm opening the onion activity, I'm going to put extra, and I'm going to pass name. The name is onions, and then also I'm going to put another extra, and this is image name, which will be onions. So this is how you pass data from one activity to the other. Now when I go to my broccoli activity, I'm going to have private fun init data. This is just a function that I'm going to use to get this data. So I'm going to have a val get, you can say our past data, which will be intent dot get extra. So I'll have val name, which will be past data dot get string, you can say get string, and the name was name. And then this one might be null, so I can add this one. Then I'm going to have val image name, which will be past data dot get string, and then it will be image So the next thing that we want to do is have two functions. One, to set private fun set name, and then I'm going to have private fun set image. Set the name, what I need to do is to have a val. Remember, we have our TV name, that is for it's this one ID TV name, and then which is find view by ID, it's a text view, and then I'm going to have al.id.tv name, and then I'm going to have, actually I can have it here where I'm initializing the data. Then I'm going to have val TV, that was image view, remember, which will be find view by ID, it's an image view. And I'm going to have al.id.image view. Remember, the image view I'm talking about is this one. So what I need to do is to have my TV name dot set text, it will be name, and then we can have image view dot set image resource. Oops, this one requires an int, so I'm going to have here get int. So when I'm passing data, I'll need to put this one instead of a string. I'm going to have al dot drawable dot blockori, and this one I'm going to have al dot drawable dot onions. Same. So when I get here, get in, and I'm going to set my image name. So I can even remove these ones, and now we can learn our application and see. This one I'm going to call it here, learn this application. There we are. If I click this one, you can see the image and the name. So let's do the same for onion. So we have already implemented this one. So what we need to do is that just copy this one, the same thing, and then paste it here, and then call this one here. We can now learn our project again. So if I try this one, it's working. If I try this one, it's working. So this is what we wanted to implement. We have already created a sample application that has enabled us to learn how to position items, center, how to transfer values or data from one activity to another, how to listen to click within a grid layout. So I'm going to leave the list 4 items to you so that you can create new activities and you can implement OnclickListener.